now move on to our next session of the day, titled Secure Your Digital Infrastructure with Zero Effort and Zero Trust. For this session, we would like to invite RahulKrishna Gupta, Pre-Sales Architect, Rancher COE, SUSE.
My name is RahulKrishna Gupta. You can call me Rahul. I work as a pre-sales architect. COE stands for Center of Excellence. And I have been with SUSE for 19 years. So, been since the time SUSE ventured in India and started its operations in India. And I have been there all along. Today's session is essentially going to be focused on security. We're talking about digital Bharat, we're talking about digitization of a lot of things. So essentially we're talking about a lot of technology coming into the mix. And one of the aspects that remains kind of overlooked or underworked is the security, right? So what I'm going to talk about is how you can implement security comprehensively with zero effort or close to zero effort. It's not going to be done automatically, but near zero effort and with zero trust. And zero trust is a very, very important aspect, as we'll see. So, just to set the stage, you all would have heard of high-profile data breaches, right? There are a lot of data breaches that happen around the world, and the average cost of data breaches is increasing year by year. If you look from what it was in 2020 and what it was in 2022, right, there is a 13% increase. And as the technology landscape grows, as more and more critical information, sensitive information comes online, well, there is a much larger scope for security breaches to happen. And security breaches do not only relate to monetary loss. There is a huge cost associated with reputation loss, because once you lose customers' data, the customer is not going to trust you again, right? And you would have lost that data. Now, one of the challenges with putting containers in production, and I am talking about containers specifically because as we see more and more applications coming online, most of them are leveraging the cloud native development aspect, microservices, and that's where containers come into play. A very agile development model where you can bring your services very quickly to the market and realize business benefits. One of the challenges that most customers see is the security aspect. How do you implement security for containers? And that is the inhibiting factor where people have adopted containers in their development environment but have not gone live full-fledged because of their worry around security. And what we are going to see is how you can actually alleviate that worry and implement security easily, and we'll see and in a very comprehensive manner. Now, as far as the industries are concerned, practically every industry is adopting IT, right? It's slowly turning into almost all the industries are slowly turning into software companies in a way, right? If you look at a lot of the manufacturers whom you didn't associate with IT, today they look like software companies more than anything else, right? So it's across the industries and nobody is safe from data theft and ransomware. These are the common threats that you come across. Another one is Bitcoin mining, right? Using your infrastructure to mine Bitcoins. Which goes undetected most of the times, but you pay for it and somebody else is benefiting from it. So, what are these challenges when it comes to the container environment, right? One is containers are increasingly becoming popular, which means the landscape is growing, and the landscape in terms of containers, kind of will grow exponentially. Because if it came to the traditional environment where you had VMs or physical systems, your sprawl wasn't that much, but now if you decompose an application into microservices, instead of one VM, you probably might be running 10 containers doing the same job or maybe even more. So the container sprawl is going to explode, it's going to grow exponentially, and it's going to become more and more attractive for attackers or hackers. The traditional security tools do not work in the container domain because of the dynamic nature of the container infrastructure. You don't have a fixed IP address, a fixed host, you don't know where it's going to run, what IP it's going to have, what hostname it's going to have. The network is completely abstracted. So it becomes challenging to implement security. And as the scale grows, you have to bring in a lot of automation to manage containers. You need to bring in automation to implement security also. Otherwise, it becomes very, very difficult to manage when you're dealing with hundreds or thousands of container instances, right? These are the challenges that you typically see in a environment where you are developing cloud native applications, and most of the new applications essentially are working on that model. So how do we address this? We offer a full life cycle container security solution called SUSE NeuVector, completely open source. As with everything else that SUSE does, we are a pure open source company. This is all a completely open source solution and will work with any Kubernetes infrastructure. Things that you get as part of NeuVector is very high security without impacting your application performance. You don't need to make any changes to your application. You simply deploy NeuVector and it will start doing its job. You can implement zero trust security. What does zero trust mean? Deny all. You don't trust anybody, you deny everything else. You only allow your own application behavior. What the application is supposed to do, only that is allowed and nothing else. Everything else is denied. Now, how do you actually define the application behavior? Nobody, if somebody had to sit and define the application behavior and write policies, that's not going to be manageable. So, you can have automated discovery of application behavior, automated creation of security policies for the application, and then what you are left to do is probably just review them and then finalize them that this is my final set of policies for this application and this is what we go ahead with. So it reduces the burden on you, it automates a lot of these things, right? Makes security easy with automation. You can, it provides unique workload visibility. Many times when you deploy applications, you don't get to see what's happening, how the application is communicating within itself with the outside world. You can get a full, clear visibility of this. And whatever I'm talking about, you can actually come at my booth and you can see it in action live. There is a graphic that I put up on the screen, and if you want to see this in more detail, I'm happy to share with you. And then the full lifecycle security, right from the stage you are developing your applications to the stage where you put your applications in production, we are able to secure you along the entire pipeline using different capabilities. And I'll talk about those capabilities next. Right, so this is a small graphic that covers all the capabilities that NeuVector has to offer. Cognizant of time, I'll keep it brief. Basically, the USP of our solution is the zero trust runtime security, right? Which depends on automated discovery of application behavior, which comprises of all the network connections, network rules, all the processes running inside the containers, all the files that it is accessing. Basically, that defines the application behavior. And then when we are defining these network policies, we are looking at layer 7, which is, the application level protocols, which is what you need, because just knowing the IP address and port numbers is not going to be sufficient. Most of the sophisticated attacks that happen today happen at the layer 7 level, right? So we do layer 7 inspection that helps us to define policies in a very comprehensive manner. It also helps us to block layer 7 attacks in real time. Things like SQL injection, DDoS, ping death, right? Or DNS attacks, all of those can be identified and blocked as they happen, okay? And then once you learn the application behavior, you don't need to learn the application behavior on every cluster that it is running on. You can simply export that policy as a code and then import it on the other clusters where the application is supposed to run. I'm talking a little bit technical stuff, but those who worked in this area will probably get a hold of it. We can identify 35 different application protocols, 23 types of different network attacks, right? All out of the box. We also have a very strong vulnerability scanning and management, compliance management. If you have a need to readily look for compliance against regulations like PCI DSS or GDPR or HIPAA or NIST, our solution offers that. You click a button and you can see whether you are fully compliant or whether you are missing any compliance. If you are missing any compliance, it also tells you how to rectify it, right? So it gives you all that information. Plus, there is admission control rules, so you can define what is allowed on your clusters, what is not allowed in your cluster. These could be very simple policies or this could be complex policies. Again, you can define those very, very easily, right? But the best thing is, suppose you are already running an application and you're not still using new vector, and you're able to determine or you come to know that you are under attack, right? Somebody is trying to play mischief with your environment. You can at that very moment deploy new vector on your cluster and you can start securing your applications. As the attack is happening, you can see that happen in real time. And deployment is a matter of few minutes, right? And because this is open source, you don't have to first go out and procure a subscription before you're able to use it. So try it out, use it in your environment, and if you think that this is really what you need and you need support for it, then only you buy the subscription. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. Right? This is just a graphical representation of how the automated behavior learning works. So we have three modes: discover, monitor, and protect. In discover mode, new vector learns about what the application is doing. Right? So it identifies the application behavior, creates the network policies, creates the process profiles, creates the file access profiles. And then once you are ready to, once you have identified the full, once you see that all the policies are in place and you are ready to move to enforce those policies, then you switch to what is called at the monitor level, monitor mode. In monitor mode, new vector stops learning, starts enforcing. This switch you can do manually, you can even automate it. You can set a timeline that after so many hours or so many days, the application automatically switches to monitor mode, right? In monitor mode, it allows you to fine tune your policies, right? So in monitor mode, what it will do is, it will now start matching everything against your baseline behavior that it has discovered in discovery mode. And then anything that doesn't match that behavior, maybe a new network connection or a new process that is started in a container instance, it will flag you. It will send you an alert that this is something that is not matching the profile, not matching the policy. At that time, you can decide whether you want to allow it or keep it as it is. If you want to allow it, you can deploy it and it becomes part of your profile, part of your policy, right? So monitor mode allows you to do fine tuning without blocking anything, but it gives you alerts. If you want to strictly enforce that anything that doesn't match the policy is denied, that's when you switch to the protect mode. Protect mode just takes the monitor mode to the next level, wherein instead of just alerting, it automatically starts blocking anything that doesn't match the behavior. How is this useful? As I said in the beginning, we use zero trust mechanism. We trust only the application behavior. Anything else is not matching the application behavior, we automatically block out. This means any zero-day attack essentially is, the day when the vulnerability was identified and you don't yet have a fix for it and somebody can attack you. So that's a zero-day attack. Any unknown vulnerability, which is what hackers typically rely on, they use those attacks which are as yet not widely known, but that's what they use to compromise your systems. So you're protected against any unknown vulnerabilities. And you're also protected against any known vulnerabilities for which a fix might exist, but you're not able to apply it for various reasons, right? So you have full protection against zero-day attacks, unknown attacks, known vulnerabilities, everything. And that is what the protect mode essentially is going to enforce. Right? It's going to, none of these attacks is going to match your application behavior, right? And hence new vector will simply block it out, right? That's how new vector works. So just to quickly summarize, new vector offers you a very fast and accurate way of vulnerability and compliance scanning, easy to deploy. Anybody who's worked on Kubernetes, you can deploy it in about 5 to 10 minutes and get it working. Right? Doesn't require any dedicated infrastructure. It runs alongside your application. You don't need to make any changes to your application, right? Supported in air-gapped environments. If you have sensitive environments which are not directly connected to the internet, we support those sort of environments. Scalable to thousands of nodes in a cluster without impacting performance. Automated security policy creation, as I just described. Visibility of your application network. Right? You can actually see a visual representation of what's happening in your cluster, and behavioral based zero trust and attack protection. And then we also have data loss prevention capabilities. So if your applications are dealing with sensitive data like credit card information, and you want to control as to which pods have access to that data or whether that information should flow outside of your cluster or not, you can implement policies and you can protect sensitive data within your cluster, which is very, very important because almost everybody is dealing with some sort of sensitive data in a way, right? It need not be only secure credit card information. It can be anything else that is sensitive for your business, right? And then I'll just conclude with some information about our company, SUSE. So SUSE is a 30-year-old open source company. We have been doing open source all along. Everything that we work with is purely open source, available upstream. So if you want to try before buy, absolutely go ahead, download it, try it out. And I encourage you, if you are looking for container security, please do try NewVector. If you want to see it, how it works, come to the booth, I'll show it to you. We have a live demo running there, right? But you can see that we power a lot of industries, different verticals, a lot of the top customers in every vertical, right? Be it large aerospace firms or retailers or technology companies or manufacturers or healthcare and finance firms. We have a pretty strong customer base in India. You can see a lot of these logos. They are running SUSE in their environment, right? And then a very, very strong global set of customers across variety of domains. You will identify some of the very known logos in here, right? So they are running SUSE in one form or another within their infrastructure. Yeah, and my time's up. So that's the last slide. Visit the SUSE booth if you want to learn more about NewVector, if you want to see it in action. I always encourage, because whatever I have spoken, some of you might be thinking, this sounds too good to be true. So whenever I talk about NewVector, I always say, you know, I can show everything that I talked about live in a demo. So if anybody is interested, happy to show it to you. With that, I will end my session. Thank you all for patient listening, and I don't know if we have time for questions, do we? Okay, so if there is a question somebody has, happy to take one. Yes, sir.
Somewhere in one slide, I saw there is on network layer 7, there is some kind of patent. What is that patent?
Yes, so the technology that was developed by NewVector. NewVector was an independent company before SUSE acquired it 1.5 years ago. At that time, it used to be a proprietary product. And when SUSE acquired it, we open sourced it, right? So that happened last year. So it has been open source ever since. The technology that we used for this layer 7 validation of protocols or layer 7 inspection of traffic, NewVector developed that technology, and NewVector holds patents on those technologies. So that's what it is about. Yeah. Is that it? Okay, thank you all for patient listening. I hope you enjoy your day. And with that, I will conclude. Thank you.